Welcome in episode 97, What's Right with Nick Wright. Subscribe on our YouTube page. You'll get our live shows on Monday and Thursdays. If you hit the little bell on our YouTube page, they'll let you know. We're right over 85,000 subscribers. We're getting there. It's going to be up against the wire to get Damonza that $1,000 bonus. But we still have hope. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers. Damonza gets a fancy plaque. Also, as we discussed on Thursday's show, Damonza has a Twitch stream that he's starting up. And is it not started yet?
No, definitely starting it up. We didn't get to discuss it because the question got eliminated.
Here's the thing. I'm doing a little magic of media because we have not yet discussed it, but we are going to discuss it on Thursday's show, which people will have already heard by the time of the gambling show. So Damonza got a Twitch stream.
Sure.
He's playing Call of Duty. We got all that. So a lot of places where you can consume our material. All we ask, because we're out here not only giving out good content, but lately we're out here giving out winners. Now, everybody can't, I didn't share with you guys my same game parlay day of Sunday that, was a nice meaty 5 figures. We discussed that on Monday's show, but 3 straight weeks of giving out winners. It's brought our season record to essentially right at 500. We are 24, 25, and 1, which given how we started the year, we will take. Here's the thing. The Wright Move is bad. Don't overvalue our Wright Move pick. Just look at it as a totality of 5 picks. So last week, let's go through it quickly here. We'll go through the winners and then the losers. Tennessee -2.5. The Broncos are a disaster.
Yep.
Somebody tweeted, and they're correct.
The 18 points?
Yes.
Yeah.
That if they had scored 18 points in every game this year, which would be a bottom 5 offense, they would be 8-1. And did you see what Russell Wilson did? Russell Wilson wore the wristband to his press conference.
Yeah.
This guy
don't really have enough room to be playing games right now.
It's unbelievable. Denver will be featured in one way or another in our picks this week. The Chargers +7 against San Francisco was a winner. That was clearly the right side and almost got screwed. At the end of the game, Kyle Shanahan should have tried to punch it in to go up 10 at the very end. Instead, he kicked a cowardly field goal, but we appreciate it from a gambling perspective. Washington +11, obviously the right side. They won outright. Chicago -2.5 against Detroit. I also think that was the right side. They ended up losing by 1. However, they were up 14 and picked off Jared Goff, returned it inside the 10, and a very questionable defensive pass interference or illegal contact call. Got that called back. Detroit then scored. Justin Fields then made a terrible mistake. He's been excellent, but he made a bad mistake, pick 6, flipped the game. Even despite all of that, Justin Fields then went down the field, not even down the field, one play, 60-yard touchdown run, but they missed the extra point. So then a Detroit touchdown wins it for him. So I don't feel bad about that. And then there's Vegas -6 against Indy, which we discussed on Monday. We don't need to discuss much more here. I would never have made that pick with Matt Ryan starting. I would never have laid 6 points with the terrible Raiders against a competent. Now, Ryan has had some awful moments, but when he's not turning the ball over, he's still obviously more than competent. The Colts said they were going with Ellinger. The coach they fired never wanted to start Ellinger. Seemed like they were going with Ellinger, and then they did the old switcheroo. It counts against my record, but I feel it was dishonest. I feel it was unfair. I feel the money should be refunded. But I can't really complain about gambling this week because, again, the 40-1 same game parlay. Okay, 5 picks this week. This is how it works each and every week. We break the games down into 4 separate categories. Our picks, our stayaways, our be carefuls, and our perfectly priced. Also, I should note, we are doing this before Thursday Night Football, so we no longer include Thursday Night Football. You guys will have already known if I'm right or wrong on this. I like the Titans +3 tonight. I think the Titans +3 and the Titans to win outright, but we're not including that in our picks because it's not interesting. It's not actionable for you guys because we did it early in the year and I realized it's dumb to give analysis on a game that you guys will have already seen. So now, our picks. First one, we are going back to the well with Chicago. Chicago getting 3 in Atlanta. So Chicago with Justin Fields could have won each of the last few weeks. And let's talk about how they lost. I understand they lost. I understand right now they have the worst record given tiebreakers in the NFC. And their defense has been abysmal. Those are all things I know. Those are all reasons not to go with them. I get that part of it. However, what we have seen from Chicago, so they crushed New England in Justin Fields' breakout game. Right. They then get crushed by Dallas, but scored 29 points. So I shouldn't say he could have won each of the last 3 weeks. Against Miami, they are back and forth with Miami. Justin Fields has 300 yards combined, 180 on the ground. And that game it's a 3-point game the entirety of the fourth quarter. They're just unable to get over the hump. Then they play Detroit. I just broke that game down. Atlanta, on the other hand, is going in the other direction. Atlanta, in its last month of football, got crushed by the Bengals, escaped against Carolina, got beat by the Chargers, and then got crushed by Carolina. Getting crushed by Carolina the way they did last week is, to me, when P.J. Walker threw for 100 yards and you lost by 10 points, a massive warning sign. You add to that Atlanta has not, ever since Cordarrelle Patterson got hurt, even though he's back, they have not been the same dominant rushing team they were at the beginning of the year. As Chicago's big weakness is defense, particularly their pass defense. I do not think Atlanta's going to be able to take advantage of that. I like getting the 3 points. I think Chicago could win outright. We like Chicago and Justin Fields finally getting over the hump and getting a win after the last couple weeks. They played well enough to win. What's up?
Do you think it's possible you're overrating them with how fun they are to watch? I mean, they've lost to 6 of their last 7 games.
Well, I don't think I'm overrating. If they were playing a good team, maybe. Atlanta's 4-6 with some very good luck early in the year. Chicago's 3-7 with some tough luck last week. You add to it early in the year, they were a totally different team. I think Chicago is a better team than Atlanta, so they should not be getting a full 3 points in Atlanta. I like Chicago plus the 3. Next, this is a little spoiler. This is the only favorite we're going with this week. The Giants -3 against Detroit. So, Detroit's defense is abysmal.
Right.
The Giants are just going to run the football. I will give the Giants credit in this regard. They have been great at protecting the ball. Detroit, I feel like, is going to struggle to score on the road in cold weather here in New York unless they get turnovers. And the big bugaboo for Daniel Jones' whole career had been turnovers. And listen, Brian Daboll leaves Josh Allen. He all of a sudden leads the league in turnovers. Goes to Daniel Jones, most turnover-prone quarterback in the league since he came into it. All of a sudden, he stops turning the ball over. Daboll deserves credit there. The Giants also, while we don't, and the collective does not believe in them as much as their record suggests, I'm sure they believe in themselves. And that Philly loss, plus the Dallas loss last week, should be galvanizing for them. They should feel like, wait, why can't we win the division? Why can't we, with a Minnesota stumble, be the 1 seed? Now, I don't think that's realistic at all, but they know in order for any of that to come into play, they have to take care of business in a game like this against a Detroit team that is awful. Detroit's fun and hard knocks, and people like Dan Campbell, but their offense seems to only work at home. Their defense has been bad all year, and the Giants recognize that they have 4 consecutive divisional games coming up. Those are all going to be incredibly difficult, even though 2 of them are against Washington. And they know the Giants haven't played. Is that right? Yeah, they've only played 1 divisional game all year. The Giants are 8-2, and the rest of the way have Detroit this week, then Dallas on Thanksgiving, then Washington, Philly, Washington, Minnesota, Indy, Philly. So that is a brutal rest of the schedule in this regard. Divisional games are always tough. Your non-divisional games are only Minnesota, Indy, and Philly. So Indy's the only one where you'll be a favorite.
Right.
So they have to win this game. This, to me, feels like a 20-13 Giants win. Good Giants defense, fast game, a lot of running. We like the Giants laying the 3. Next. All right. This one was painful for me. I'm going to tell you right now, I had this game in a different category, and I had San Francisco, Arizona in our picks. And then, bad job by me, when I initially did the picks, I forgot San Francisco, Arizona is in another country. It's in Mexico. It's not in Arizona. I was going to grab the 8 points with Arizona, even with the uncertainty at quarterback. Then I realized it's not even a home game for them, and I took them out of it. Too much uncertainty.
Damn near a home game, Mexico.
Yeah, but I think San Francisco have more fans. I think
those are both pretty close.
Yeah, and it's also San Francisco more of an international brand. But this is a game between two of the worst teams in football. And the Rams right now, with Cooper Kupp probably being done for the year, likely have the worst offense in the league. Despite that, I am going to go ahead and grab the 4.5 points. Rams plus 4.5 against the Saints. This is not about the Rams still being alive. This is not the Rams are going to have the worst defense of a Super Bowl in NFL history.
Yeah.
Okay? The offense stinks. The offense, all year long, here are their points scored, okay? 10, 31 against Atlanta. 20, 9, 10, 24 against Carolina. 14, 13, 17. So all of that sounds like a reason that I shouldn't be picking them. The flip side to that coin is the Saints are just as bad. The Saints are starting Andy Dalton. The one thing the Rams can still do is employ Aaron Donald. The Saints also, while I don't love McVay as much as everyone does, he is clearly a good coach. Dennis Allen, I've been pounding this drum all year, is one of the worst coaches from a record perspective in the history of the NFL. And the Saints the last 5 weeks, the only reason they're not 0-5 is because of that game they crushed the Raiders, which was the last breath of the Raiders. They got the Saints last week got beat by 10 by Pittsburgh. They should not be favored by more than 2 points, even at home against anyone. Getting a full 4.5 in this game, that very likely is a 17-13 game in either direction. I got to grab the points. I don't like it. I don't want to watch this game. I don't want to care about this game, but it is too many points for an Andy Dalton, Dennis Allen quarterback coach combo. What's
up? We're
up?
Taking Tyler Higbee and the Rams.
Okay, the Rams don't have an offense right now. I understand that. And, they might shut Stafford down for the year. I get all of that. It's too many points. It's flatly, this should be New Orleans -1 or a pick'em. New Orleans, and both of these teams, by the way, here's the other weird thing. Usually when teams are this bad, you worry, will the GM have talked to the coach like, hey, we wouldn't mind losing this game. Improve our draft position. 2 teams playing each other and competing with this team for draft position. Neither of these teams have their own first-round pick. The Saints, it goes to Philly. Philly is going to get the Saints' first-round pick. Could be the 4th pick of the draft. For the Rams, it obviously goes to Detroit. Very weird thing in this year's draft. 4 of the 10 worst records don't have their own first-round pick. The Browns, it goes to Houston. The Rams, it goes to Detroit. New Orleans, it goes to Philly. And Denver, obviously, it goes to Seattle. So 4 of the worst teams in the league don't have their own first-round pick. And that also means Detroit and Houston are going to end up likely with 2 top 10 picks, their own plus the one they got coming back. All right, next.
Or management.
Raiders +3 at Denver. I understand the Raiders stink. I get it. Why should Denver be treated like they're anything other than arguably the worst team in the league outside of Houston? What's the argument for it? They just lost another receiver. Jerry Jeudy, unfortunately, got hurt. Now, it doesn't look like that is quite as devastating of an injury as it looked like in real time. The Raiders, meanwhile, I know I sound dumb on this, and obviously Josh McDaniels has not done a good job. I don't think the Raiders are terrible. They're obviously not good, but I don't think they're terrible. And it seemed like Derek Carr and Davante Adams, they both came out this week and said they were happy that Josh McDaniels got the vote of confidence. Now, the reason Josh McDaniels got that vote of confidence is because the Raiders are broke and they're paying you. NFL coaches' salaries, Damonza, are guaranteed. So they're trying not to pay Gruden because they fired him for a cause because of the racist emails.
Right.
But if you fire a coach, you got to pay him out. So they're already, they might have to pay out Gruden. If they fire McDaniels, who they just hired, they have to pay him out for 5 years and then hire another coach. You'd be paying 3 coaches. The Raiders, I don't think have the cash to do it. So that's the reason McDaniels is staying. But I think Carr and Davante are happy he's staying. And this is more about fading the Denver Broncos. A Denver Broncos team that has won 3 games this year. One was against Houston. One was the 1-point win against San Francisco. And the other, the devastating 4-point victory against the Prince that was promised in Europe. Them laying 3 points is flatly too many. They're coming off their offense since the last Raider game, by the way. The Raiders won 32-23. Now, that was the one game the Broncos actually scored. Other than that Raiders game, the Broncos have scored 16, 16, 11, 9, 16, 9, 17, 21 and 10. So Russell Wilson and the Broncos do not deserve to be favored by a full 3 points. I'll grab the 3.
Derek Carr might be less profitable than Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
And the Raiders just lost to a get-up analyst.
Yeah, so I understand all of that. This is about me having made a mistake. Earlier in the year, I said that Nat Hackett was a must bet against until proven otherwise. And I lost my medal on it after that stupid Broncos game. Or I'm sorry, the stupid Niners game when Jimmy G ran out the back of the end zone. Since then, the Broncos were playing. Let's just go through what they would have been against the spread. We can do it quickly. The Broncos were getting 2.5 against the Raiders. They lost by 9. So they lost that game against the spread. The Broncos were laying 3.5 against the Colts. They lost outright. The Broncos, my guess is against the Chargers, they covered. The Broncos were getting 4.5 against the Chargers. They lost by 3. The Broncos against the Jets were getting 2.5. They lost by 7. They obviously covered against Jacksonville. And the Broncos against the Titans last week were getting 2.5. They lost by 7.
Okay.
We should have kept fading them. We didn't. It's frustrating. I'm fading them this week.
I'm going to give you one more chance to back out of this. Davante Adams was limited in practice yesterday.
Yeah, he's going to play. I'm not worried. The limited on a Wednesday doesn't concern me.
Okay.
Did not practice on a Wednesday is a first sign of concern. Limited on a Friday can be concerning. I believe Davante is going to play. And again, we're doing this on a Thursday, so we don't know the Thursday injury report. I'm fading the Broncos. This is, you know what? I think this is a strong Raiders victory. 24-10. The Raiders win. The Broncos look terrible. There it is. Yep. Last pick. You guys taught me something last week. I got to give you guys credit. Last week, you guys said, oh, man, don't you know that Mike Tomlin is 83% against the spread as a home underdog? And I said, I didn't know that. And then the Steelers went out and won outright.
Right.
Well, what is he, Damonza, against the spread as a home underdog in division games?
Tomlin is undefeated against the spread at home.
As
a home dog against the AFC North in 7 games. 5-0-2.
All right, so we're getting 4 points against Cincinnati. This is a 3-point game. It was 4.5. It moved to 4. I liked it more at 4.5. This feels like maybe it's a push. But I am not above learning from you and the producers. I didn't know that last week. I now do. Also, we saw this game played in week 1. Now, it was an outlier game. I understand that because there were 5 turnovers and this missed kicks by Cincinnati, all of that, and Pittsburgh won in overtime. But what it was not an outlier was this. TJ Watt wrecked the Bengals. And what we have seen from the Bengals this year is, while they have a lot of really good things going for them, they cannot deal with a singularly dominant pass rusher, right? They have 4 losses this year. 3 of them came to TJ Watt, Micah Parsons, and Myles Garrett. We saw Myles Garrett wreck them 2 weeks ago on Monday Night Football. Last week, now I understand they're coming off a bye. I get that. Pittsburgh, it's too many points. So we've got 4 underdogs this week. Our 4 picks this week. Chicago +3 at Atlanta. The Giants -3 at Detroit. The Rams +4.5 against New Orleans in New Orleans. Vegas +3 at Denver. And Pittsburgh +4 against Cincinnati. Now, the other, how many more games are we doing? The other 8 games of the weekend. Stayaways, be carefuls, and perfectly priced. We do that next. What's Right, episode 97. All right, welcome back in. What's Right, Nick Wright, episode 97, our gambling show. We just gave you our 5 picks of the week. There are now 8 other games we have to break down into 3 different categories. Our stayaways, our be carefuls, and our perfectly priced. All right, the 3 stayaways are Cleveland at Buffalo, Dallas at Minnesota, and San Francisco at Arizona. We'll go through each of these, why we consider them stayaways. Cleveland at Buffalo, this is the type of game that Buffalo, I was ready to lay the points with Buffalo. They've lost back-to-back games. They need the win. Cleveland isn't good. Buffalo is with the best front-running team in the league, but nobody better at turning a 17-point lead into a 30-point lead than the Bills. This is the type of game where everyone's like, oh my God, Josh Allen's quarterback won. Here's the problem. Have you seen, Damonza, the forecast for Buffalo this weekend?
Yeah, it's going to be a snowstorm, huh?
They called it like a snow thunderstorm. They think they might get 6 feet of snow. They're not even certain if the game can be played in Buffalo. Right. Now, usually they deal with it. So, in neutral weather, I'd lay the points. In a snow Thunderdome, if you're getting more than a touchdown, you want the dog because you just feel like there's going to be a lot of upheaval, low scoring. Also, if the conditions are that you can't throw, it actually favors Cleveland. Right. Because they want to run the ball. Buffalo wants to throw the ball.
Right.
It is the wet. Now, maybe Sunday morning, this is bettable. Right now, for me, for my purposes, on Thursday, you got to stay away from it. The weather is too big of an X factor. Next one, Dallas at Minnesota is a stay away in this regard. I like Minnesota in this spot. Okay. This is kind of a stay away / be careful. I probably should have put it in the be careful category, but I'll analyze it the same. I like Minnesota in this spot. I think Minnesota being the dog at home against Dallas is downright disrespectful, even though I don't trust Minnesota as much as their record demands that I should trust them. This line is so fishy, and it feels like they are daring you to pick the Vikings. The Cowboys coming off a terrible loss. Dak hasn't looked good. Minnesota's coming off a great win. And that, to me, is the equalizer in this. Dallas coming off a bad loss, feeling awful. Minnesota coming off one of the best regular season wins anyone's ever had. The other concern is, if you're going with the Vikings, are teams going to start giving Justin Jefferson like the old Randy Moss treatment of, we're just going to double you the whole game and dare you guys to beat us with anyone else, so I'm staying away from it. What's up?
Imagine what this point spread would have been had Buffalo not fumbled in the end zone. You think it's like Dallas minus 3.5, 3.5?
I don't know how much the Vikings win. In a weird way, I wonder if it goes the other way. I wonder if the Vikings winning actually made them bigger underdogs because people are concerned about the letdown spot, that they are going to be a little, so I'm not sure. But that game was so wild and the Dallas game also. Now, here's what I don't like for Dallas on the Dallas side of things. I don't like 5-quarter games. I don't like teams that the previous week played not only overtime, but deep into overtime. I feel like that takes a real toll, but I'm staying away from it. And the last one I'm staying away is San Francisco against Arizona. We don't know who's playing quarterback for Arizona. I don't actually care about that Arizona's getting 8, by the way. I think Colt McCoy's fine, and I think the team dislikes Kyler. However, this might be the first game Arizona has all of its weapons because Nuke was suspended. They traded for Hollywood Brown, and they traded for Robbie Anderson. They all three might be on the field this week. It's a possibility Hollywood Brown plays. The Mexico City part is a complicating factor. The lack of knowledge about who's playing quarterback for Arizona is a complicating factor. And whether or not San Francisco is just going to be able to run the ball down Arizona's throat. My lean here was Arizona. Because of the uncertainty at quarterback, I'm staying away from it.
Shanahan's the third worst coach as a favorite since he became a coach. If Kyler Murray's playing, are you taking Arizona?
Again, I don't. At 8, if they were to announce Kyler the starter and the line were to stay here, yes. I think they have baked. I think the line probably drops to 6 if Kyler is playing.
Okay.
I think San Francisco's a great team. I really do. But you're right about that. They don't cover a lot because they don't blow people out because of their style of play. I'm staying away from it. Now to the be carefuls. All right. Philly at Indy, Washington at Houston, Kansas City at the Chargers. Be careful on Philly at Indy for this regard. There are 2 universes that exist. One is that Indy can't protect Matt Ryan, that Philly's furious about the game they gave away against Washington, that Philly D-line forces 3 fumbles on Matt Ryan. He, self-sacks a number of times. Jeff Saturday gets de-pantsed, as we thought he would last week, and Philly beats them 31-3. That universe exists. It also exists that on Monday morning on TV, there are 2 parallel discussions going on. One is, how many people owe Jeff Saturday an apology? He's got the Colts fighting, a hard-fought, shocking win against Philly. And the other one being, wow, is, Philly from 8-0 to second place in the division, right? I think Vegas is daring you to bet Philly because Indy isn't a good team. However, Indy with Matt Ryan playing has been a competent team. And 7 points is a lot to lay on the road. I would be careful in that spot. Just like I would be careful with Washington at Houston. Washington coming off a great win. Houston looks like the worst team in the league. You're only laying a field goal. I feel like this is a game that is going to be one of the most popular picks. You're going to have 75% of the public betting on Washington. Washington won that game despite the fact that they still don't have solid quarterback play and their running attack is averaging less than 4 yards per carry. That is, Houston is going to win at least 2 more games this year. This could be one of them. I say be careful. I'm not willing to bet on Houston. They've been so poorly coached. They've been so bad. I'm not willing to bet on them, but I think you got to be careful. What's up?
I get fading Washington, but Houston is like one of the worst teams in the league right now. And Chase Young might be back. Is this kind of disrespectful to the Commanders?
I don't think the Commanders have earned respect. The Commanders are fine.
They're a fighting team, man.
That's fine. They're fine. I'm not laying points on the road with Washington right now. Even against Houston, I'm certainly not laying a full field goal. And the last be careful is Kansas City and the Chargers. Listen, the Chargers give the Chiefs hell. They lose to the Chiefs, but those games are close. If you want to bet Chiefs-Chargers, wait until the Chargers take a lead and live bet the Chiefs on the money line. Don't bet them now. So I just feel like at -5.5, they're daring you to bet the Chiefs because you're not even laying the full touchdown, not even laying the full 6. Be careful in this spot. Because if you want to bet the Chiefs, wait until the game gets going. The Chiefs fall down. And because here's the other thing. The Chargers are totally desperate in this spot. If the Chiefs win this game, the division race is over. It's not mathematically over, but the Chiefs win. The Chiefs would be 8-2. The Chargers would be 5-5, and the Chiefs would have swept them. Okay. So that would mean that the Chargers to win the division, even if they ran the table after this game, the Chiefs would have to go 11-6, which would mean the Chiefs would have to go 2-4 the rest of the way. This is a division championship game for the Chiefs. So the Chargers, it's a kitchen sink game for them. They're going to be desperate. I think they'll come out strong. I'm not laying the 5.5 with Kansas City. All right, perfectly priced. Carolina at Baltimore. Baker's starting. This is a tough spot for my guy, Damonza.
Yeah.
It's a tough spot for my guy. I expect Baltimore to look really good, and I expect Baltimore to win by about 2 touchdowns. I like the price on it. And Jets at the Patriots. The line strikes you initially disrespectful to the Jets. Then you realize the Patriots have beaten the Jets 14 consecutive games, tied for the longest streak of any team over another team in the league with the Chiefs over the Broncos. It's the line's just right. It should at Patriots minus, if it was -3, you'd like the Patriots. At -4, you might like the Jets. 3.5. This feels like a 17-14, 17-13 type of game. To me, the line's just right. There's no value there. All right. I've got a teaser for you this week. I've been knocked out of my survivor pool. We'll discuss the heartbreak of that. 80 people left, $500,000 to the winner. And I got knocked out by the damn Eagles-Washington game. All that. We'll see what else we've got as we wrap the show, and we'll recap our picks and give you the right move, which has not been the right move, but we'll give it to you anyway. That's all next. What's right? All right, welcome back in. Final segment, What's Right with Nick Wright, our Week 11 gambling show. Our 5 picks this week. Chicago +3 at Atlanta. The Giants -3 at home against Detroit. The Rams +4.5 at New Orleans. The Raiders +3 at Denver. And Pittsburgh +4 against Cincinnati. Now time for the right move. Now listen, we have been clawing our way back to 500. We're 24-25-1. We have had 4 straight winning weeks, I believe, and I really like our picks this week, and I like our process all year long, if I'm being totally honest. And we're going to finish the year. Our goal was to finish the year at 58%. I think we can still do it. That would be highly profitable, but we need to keep churning out 3-2 weeks with a few 4-1 weeks. With that said, the right move is 3-7. So we're going to need to get a bunch of these right moving forward. I am going to have the right move this week be the one favorite that we're picking. The Giants -3 against Detroit. That is our right move of the week. We also have an exotic for you this week. One I have already placed. This is a 3-team, 6-point teaser at +160. We are teasing the Chiefs down to a pick'em from -5.5, 6.5, doesn't matter at all, becomes a pick'em essentially. We are teasing the Raiders up to +8.5 or 9, depending on where you get them. If they're 2.5 or 3 right now, you're teasing them up through the 3, the 4, the 6, and the 7, and the 8. And we are teasing the Niners down to -2 to where they just have to win by a field goal. So the Niners, Chiefs, and Raiders on a 3-team teaser. The Chiefs just to win, the Niners to win by at least a field goal, and the Raiders to getting, +8.5 or 9. Those are our 3 picks. Damonza is in a bit of a gambling slump. He does not have picks to give this week. Am I correct?
Yep.
You know what? He's taking a week off to regroup, or at least a few days off until Sunday morning rolls around and he shows me the teasers. What's up?
This is my second week.
That's what I'm saying. A couple weeks off. That's exactly what I said. He's taking a couple weeks off to regroup. He had the big win about 3 weeks ago. And then 2 weeks ago, he got crushed by the Bills losing outright to the Jets. So now he's taking a few weeks off. But you do have an offer for me.
Yep.
So what is the offer?
Call this one the 4 playoff teams. NFC East parlay. Can all 4 of these teams win this week?
Mm-hmm.
New York Giants -3 versus Detroit. Philadelphia Eagles -7 versus Indy. Dallas Cowboys -1.5 and Minneapolis. Washington Commanders -3 at Houston. Odds are +1,200.
So
how do you like that?
4-team A 4-team all against the spread parlay. They're all favorites. It sounds like about the squarest bet I've ever heard. I do not like it.
Okay.
I got to tell you right now, I don't like that at all.
Square meaning lame?
No, so sharps and squares. So sharps in gambling parlance, sharps is what I aspire to be. Someone that is a sharp bettor. Square is the public side. Square is what
So like a triangle. I'd be like a triangle right now.
What's that?
Like in between.
No, you're a square.
Square.
You're a square bettor. You're a
I don't know, man.
The square bettors win sometimes, but by definition, the fact that you're firing off 7 and 8 team parlays, you are by definition a square bettor. Doesn't mean you can't have a winning season. So far, you're having a winning season.
I've placed 3 of those first shot to hit bets.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 5.
Uh-huh.
I've hit 3 of them.
Okay.
I think by definition, that makes me a triangular bettor.
By definition, the fact that you are betting first player to make a basket in NBA games, those bets exist for square bettors.
Hey, man.
Listen, I like what you know what, though? You might have created something there, though. The triangle bettor.
Yep.
This is sometimes a sharp, sometimes a square. So I'm calling myself, would you be isosceles, scalene, or equilateral?
Isosceles, man. Somebody is going to eat that up. That's so funny. There's somebody that actually calls me isosceles.
Really?
Yeah, because of my mustache. But
because they say your mustache is like an isosceles triangle?
But
that's all right. I call you Gus, so it's fine.
Don't let him lie to you guys.
That was from book club last week. I said I'm going to start calling you Gus. Been walking around the house saying, Gus, come here. He doesn't respond. I'm like, don't you know I'm talking to you? Good luck with your gambling this week. We'll see you guys on Monday. Hey, it's Nick Wright. Thank you so much for watching. Please do us a favor. Click subscribe. It helps my ego. And Damonza's got a financial bonus writing on a number of YouTube subscribers, so help him out. And also, click the bell. I don't know what the bell does, but they tell me to tell you to click the bell. And your audio listeners, people that have commutes, drives, whatever it is, subscribe to the podcast as well, wherever you get the podcast. Same show, just in your ears instead of through your eyes. All that. Check it out. Appreciate y'all.